Hello everyone, and welcome to my Sister Wives For You channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The Sister Wives world was shaken when Meri Brown, the original first wife of Kody Brown, broke her silence after a heartbreaking personal loss, a moment that fans across the globe felt in their hearts as she shared the emotional message with raw vulnerability, saying simply, "Gone too soon." But behind those 3 words is a story that intertwines love, loss, and the complicated legacy of Meri's life in the public eye, as viewers have watched her for over a decade navigate the shifting sands of polygamy, heartbreak, independence, and now, grief that resonates on a level much deeper than the drama of reality television because this is real life, raw and unfiltered, and it has forced Meri to show strength in a way that even her most loyal supporters had not seen before, reminding everyone that beyond the TLC cameras and beyond the infamous Brown family drama, Meri is a woman, a daughter, a sister, a friend, and above all, a human being who has just lost someone deeply precious to her. And when she posted the heartfelt tribute on social media, fans were quick to flood the comments with words of encouragement, sharing their condolences, prayers, and support, recognizing that Meri's journey has been marked by resilience, but that even the strongest hearts sometimes break under the weight of sorrow. And this particular loss has peeled back yet another layer of her humanity in a way that has captivated the Sister Wives fanbase because many have always suspected that beneath her tough exterior lies an ocean of vulnerability, one that occasionally surfaces in moments like this, where Meri's honesty cuts through the noise and reminds the world why her story continues to matter, not just as part of a reality TV spectacle, but as a testament to the universal struggles of loss, love, and healing. And as the details of the tragedy began to spread, fans connected the dots to Meri's recent posts that seemed more reflective, more somber, and tinged with a quiet sadness, as if she had been carrying this burden for some time before finding the strength to share it, and that authenticity is what makes this moment so impactful, because unlike the staged drama of Sister Wives, this was unscripted life, messy and heartbreaking, and yet Meri chose to share it with the world, perhaps as a way to honor the loved one she lost, perhaps as a way to process her own grief, or perhaps simply because she knew that by speaking up, she would not be alone, that thousands of fans would rally around her, holding her up in spirit when she needed it most. And indeed, that is exactly what happened, with people from every corner of the world leaving touching messages, recalling their own experiences with loss, and letting Meri know that grief shared is grief lightened, that even when someone is gone too soon, the love, the memories, and the legacy remain forever. And this is where the story deepens, because Meri's life has been a constant interplay between public scrutiny and private struggles, from the early days of Sister Wives where she was introduced as the legal wife of Kody, through the catfishing scandal that shattered her confidence, to her eventual emotional separation from Kody and her newfound path of independence. But through it all, she has held tightly to her family ties, particularly with her mother and other close loved ones. So when tragedy struck, it is no surprise that her reaction was both deeply personal and publicly poignant, as if she was inviting the world to mourn alongside her, because for Meri, connection has always been at the heart of her journey, and this heartbreaking moment is no exception, with fans pointing out that the phrase "gone too soon" captures the unfairness of loss, the sense that time was stolen, that goodbyes were not enough, and that life has a cruel way of reminding us of its fragility. And yet, in that same phrase lies resilience, because to say, "gone too soon" is also to affirm that the life lived mattered, that it left an imprint, that it is worth remembering. And Meri, in sharing her grief, ensures that the memory of her loved one echoes not just in her own heart but in the hearts of millions who now carry a piece of that story with them. And this has sparked a larger conversation among Sister Wives fans about the nature of grief, about how reality stars like Meri are often forced to mourn in public, and about how bravery sometimes means showing weakness, crying openly, admitting pain, and still choosing to keep moving forward. And if there is one thing Meri has proven over the years, it is that she will always move forward, even when it seems impossible, because she has reinvented herself time and again, from the woman tethered to a polygamous marriage that no longer served her, to the entrepreneur running her bed and breakfast, to the inspiring figure posting motivational quotes on Instagram, and now, to the grieving woman who teaches, by example, that it is okay to break down, that it is okay to admit you are not okay. Because strength is not the absence of tears, but the willingness to face them. And this heartbreaking chapter, though devastating, adds yet another layer to Meri's story of survival, growth, and authenticity. And as fans continue to dissect her message, they cannot help but notice how her words, gone too soon, also reflect her own life journey in many ways. Because Meri too has often felt sidelined, cut out, or abandoned too early by those who once promised to stand by her, whether it was Cody choosing Robin as his legal wife, or the other sister wives moving on in ways that left Meri isolated. And so her grief resonates, not just as a loss of a loved one, but as an echo of all the other losses she has endured, making this moment a culmination of pain that she somehow continues to transform into wisdom, and as Sister Wives heads into its uncertain future. With the family fractured and fans questioning whether the show can even continue, Meri's personal tragedy becomes a stark reminder of what really matters, beyond the cameras, beyond the ratings, beyond the endless speculation, and that is love, connection, and the people we hold dear, because when they are gone too soon, all the drama fades, leaving only the memories. And perhaps that is why Meri chose to share this so openly, because she knows that the fans who have walked with her through every storm will understand, that they will honor her loved one with her, and that, together, even in grief, there is strength. And so, as her message continues to ripple across social media, one thing is clear. Meri Brown has once again turned her personal heartbreak into a collective moment of reflection, proving that even in sorrow, her voice carries power, her story inspires, and her journey, no matter how painful, continues to connect people in ways that transcend television, making this loss not just hers but ours, a reminder to cherish every moment, to love without hesitation, and to honor those who leave us too soon, because life is fleeting, fragile, and profoundly precious, and in the end, the greatest tribute we can pay is to live fully, love deeply, and like Meri, to keep going even when our hearts are breaking. As the days have passed since Meri Brown shared her emotional message declaring her loved one gone too soon, the ripple effects across the Sister Wives fandom have only grown stronger, with countless fans still revisiting her heartfelt words, analyzing her tone, and offering layers of support that demonstrate just how deeply her story has always resonated with people who may have never met her, but who feel intimately connected to her journey, and this sense of shared grief has transformed what could have been a private moment of sorrow into a collective experience of mourning, reflection, and empathy, because while reality television often thrives on sensationalism and conflict, the truth is that audiences also become attached to the real lives of the people they watch, and Meri has always had a unique ability to draw people into her world, whether through her resilience in the face of abandonment or her courage to stand up after the catfishing scandal or her continued strength as she faced the unraveling of her marriage to Cody. But this moment of loss has brought out a different kind of connection, one rooted not in drama but in humanity, because grief is universal, and Meri's vulnerability has reminded everyone that even reality stars suffer the same heartbreaking blows of mortality, and this has ignited a conversation about the unseen struggles that have always been present in Meri's life. Because while the show documented her strained relationships and her attempts to carve out independence, what it didn't always highlight were the personal family bonds outside the polygamous structure that defined her public identity, like the deep connection she shared with her late mother, Bonnie, who passed away suddenly in 2021, leaving Meri devastated yet determined to keep her mother's legacy alive by continuing to run the family in Lizzie's heritage in Utah. And now, with another loss hitting her life, fans can't help but draw parallels between these heartbreaks, noting that grief seems to return to Meri again and again like waves crashing against the shore, yet she never fully allows it to drown her, instead somehow finding ways to channel her pain into purpose, whether that means sharing motivational quotes, posting reflections about resilience, or In this case, bravely telling the world that someone she loved has been taken too soon. And that bravery has reignited admiration for her among viewers who have long felt protective of her, especially given the way she was often sidelined in the Brown family dynamic, treated as an outsider even though she was the original wife. And yet, despite being cast aside, she still carries herself with dignity, and perhaps that dignity is never more evident than in times of loss, because grief can either harden or soften a person, and Meri's grief seems to soften her just enough to let the world in, to allow fans to come for her, which in turn creates a cycle of healing where both sides feel less alone. And in this unique space, fans are not just followers but companions in her sorrow, holding her hand virtually and letting her know that she is seen, heard, and loved, even when she feels most broken. And this is why her simple phrase, "gone too soon," carried so much weight, because those words encapsulated not just her pain but the pain of countless others who have known loss, whether of parents, siblings, friends, or even the loss of relationships and dreams. And it has sparked thousands of fans to reflect on their own journeys, making Meri's post more than just a personal message, but a catalyst for collective healing, a moment where people could come together around shared vulnerability. And beyond the grief, there is also speculation about what this means for Meri moving forward, because losses of this magnitude often reshape a person's priorities, and Meri, who has already been on a journey of rediscovering herself post-Cody, may find herself propelled even further into independence and new beginnings, as grief has a way of stripping away the superficial and forcing people to focus on what truly matters. And for Meri, that could mean doubling down on her business ventures, strengthening her friendships, and continuing to inspire others with honesty and transparency, especially as Sister Wives heads into a new season where much of the focus will inevitably be on the fallout between Cody and his wives, leaving Meri's individual storyline all the more powerful because it demonstrates that her life is no longer defined by Cody's choices, but by her own resilience. And in this sense, the loss she just experienced becomes not only a heartbreaking moment, but also a turning point, because from grief often comes clarity, and Meri's ability to articulate her emotions so poignantly may inspire her to share even more of her authentic self, whether through writing, speaking, or continuing to use social media as a platform for real conversations. And this transformation has already begun to show, as her recent posts reflect a woman who is increasingly comfortable in her own skin, willing to show both strength and vulnerability, which is why her fans are rallying around her more than ever. And many of them have even taken to discussing how much they would like to see Meri break away completely from the Sister Wives franchise and build her own independent platform, one where she could tell her story fully without being overshadowed by Cody's presence or by the drama with the other wives. Because this moment of loss has reminded everyone that Meri's story is not just about polygamy or separation, but about survival, reinvention, and authenticity. And while the pain of losing someone gone too soon will never fully disappear, the truth is that Meri has already shown she has the strength to transform her pain into purpose, as she did after her mother's death, when she carried on running Lizzie's heritage and pouring her energy into preserving something meaningful, and as she did when she faced betrayal in her marriage, yet chose not to become bitter, but instead to rebuild herself one step at a time. And fans believe she will do the same again, because Meri's defining trait has always been her ability to keep moving forward even when life keeps knocking her down, and that resilience is why so many people are invested in her journey, because it mirrors their own struggles, their own moments of feeling overlooked, abandoned, or heartbroken, and yet finding a way to keep standing. And so this moment of silence breaking, while devastating, also feels like an opening to something new, a chapter where Meri is no longer just reacting to what happens to her, but actively creating the narrative of her life. And grief, painful as it is, may very well be the catalyst that pushes her to embrace life more fully, to cherish her loved ones more deeply, and to live with the urgency that comes from knowing just how fragile time really is. And that is why fans are holding on to her words, "gone too soon," not just as a reflection of death, but as a reminder of life, of the need to seize each moment, to treasure every relationship, and to never take tomorrow for granted. And for Meri, this might be the very lesson that propels her into the next phase of her journey, one defined not by polygamy, not by heartbreak, but by a legacy of resilience, authenticity, and courage in the face of loss. And while she may have lost someone dear, what she has gained is an outpouring of love that she cannot ignore, a reminder that even when she feels most alone, she is surrounded by a community that cares. And that is perhaps the most beautiful outcome of all, because grief shared becomes love multiplied, and in that love, Meri will find the strength to carry on, as she always has, as she always will, forever changed by loss yet never defined by it.